Assassin. And with Odyssey just around the corner, there's been like just a lot of speculation and questions about like what's going on. One of the things is that we've discovered that only Cassandra is going to be canon, and that's according to Ubisoft themselves. Cassandra is canon, and she's going to have a book that actually describes everything. The novelization of the game will have the exact details of what happened in her life. So that's what's going to be canon. Uh, Alexios is not, which is weird. But in the game, it said that Layla got a hold of DNA and she put it into her Animus, and it couldn't figure out which DNA was which. So it gave you the option of playing as a man or a woman, which is weird. But as you're playing in the real world, if you go around outside the cave and climb around and everything with Layla Hassan, you're actually going to find some parts to this folder here. Now, originally, when you go in this folder, it's empty. I don't know how all the notes blew out of her laptop, but okay, we'll go with it. They all blew out of her laptop, and they ended up, just all around the cave. As you explore the cave, you'll be able to find a bunch of things. Now, there's going to be 5 notes. This shows her version of the dialysis module for it. Okay? And it's actually hysterical because it's on like a dirty placemat, as you can see. So, Layla is constantly thinking of new things, which is pretty cool. That's actually pretty amazing. This is her version of the genetic sequencer. So now, this is actually what makes the magic happen. This is what she puts in, and it reads the genetic code. She puts the genetic material in there, reads the genetic code, and off she goes. All right? This is actually interesting. She actually called her Animus the version 031 Stone Cold Crazy. And as you can see, it folds up into like a briefcase, like something out of the Jetsons or something. But, this is the computer that we're looking at when, she dives in and everything like that. And it's actually pretty amazing, all the stuff that she's got here. The cerebral transmitter, so this stuff goes directly to her brain to help her, see and feel what's going on. Obviously a high-density foam, which is what, surrounds her so that, she stays put. Body sensor. This lets the machine know that, she's actually in it, so it's not running by itself. Now, this is interesting, too. It has a body temp regulator so that she doesn't get cold or too hot while she's in the Animus. When she's there, who's watching your body? This machine is watching your body, which is pretty cool. It's actually a pretty awesome design. Now, she also had a piece of code, which is what this is, and we really can't see it, but this is her code that the Animus runs in order to, bring the DNA together and put it in the genetic sequencer. And then finally, we also have this over here, which this is actually interesting. This shows, like what the screen is. Okay, so it actually shows the data from the dialysis unit, her heartbeat, her body temp, her cerebral graph, her pressure, and these are all things that are remotely monitored as well by her friend Deanna, when she's in the Animus, because she doesn't have a Rebecca with her. So this thing is actually, just getting a hold and monitoring all her stuff. Now, when she gets in it, that's when, she makes use of all this stuff, and obviously, it needs like some power, an external power source, which she's got it all plugged into and whatnot. So it's really interesting, and I don't see how that folds, or maybe I do. It's just a weird shape. Looking at the bottom, how it folds up like a briefcase. She has to actually take certain medications so that way her kidneys don't shut down when she's in there for extended periods of time as well, which, that's actually pretty thoughtful. Now, the other thing that I thought was really interesting, and this is something that Ubisoft could have ran with in order to explain the Alexios Cassandra thing going on there. We look at this email here, and she says, that everything seems to be in perfect order. The software is running. My vitals are showing perfectly, and all tests done on the DNA samples are turning up positive. So she was testing it minorly. She wasn't really taking dives, but she was checking her body compatibility with random DNA. Now this is really weird. I've combined some strange strands, and somehow the sequencer always returns a valid simulation to play. I haven't dared go into any of them, not alone, not without you, and the Animus isn't ready for a live test either. Maybe I'm just buying time, but that combined strand of both you and Milton looks tempting. All in due time, all in due time. Now, Milton is, I guess, a boyfriend or a love interest of Deanna Gary over here, and it's kind of crazy. She can combine strands of DNA. So now I don't know if it's she can put those strands in and live the lives of these people, or if the machine can actually simulate some kind of future dealing with the two DNAs, like what their child would look like or something like that. That's actually like a really interesting thing. Now she also has she's taken Bayek's DNA over here, and she's also taken Layla's DNA or Aya's DNA and put them both into the genetic sequencer at once. So she actually lived through missions with both of them. We've played as missions with both of them. I don't know if it's that she gets to do it one at a time, or she can feel like a combined simulation of the two. That's actually pretty weird. And then another really wild thing is, let's see, if you go to this audio, let's see, maybe it's, no, it's not that one.
Aho, the portable Animus. No mention in the official credits, but all those emails, all those middle-of-the-night phone calls from Madrid, there's a lot of me in there. Sophia, if I'd known you just wanted to strip mine my brain and leave me in the dark, I never would have followed you. Go away! There's no candy here! Nothing in life is ever free. Ever. The Animus. I can tell. I know it wouldn't have worked without my advice. Just look how they did the heat sink, the VRMs, the high amperage rating by transistor. It was me who told them it would offset failure of the... What's this? Hello there, DNA reader module. Are you ringing my doorbell? Maybe there's some candy here after all.
Layla knows a lot about this because she was responsible for a lot about this. She actually figured out a lot of what was going on with the Animus, which was pretty messed up because her friend at the time, Sophia Ricken, did not, give her any credit. And there's Sophia, if you've ever seen the movie. She's actually the daughter in the movie that runs the facility in Madrid. And then, this is supposed to be a young Layla. So, they knew each other in Berkeley College, and unfortunately, Sophia knows that she was a bright mind, that Layla was a bright mind, but never really gave her any credit.
I've come to the conclusion that Sophia is shit at hiring staff. The entire Madrid facility. Ugh. How do they not see it? It would be so easy. You just have to parse the genetic memory input and work from smaller data pools. You could even process incomplete samples and still create a reliable model for high levels of synchronization. The reader module and the decryption software would need an update, but it's doable. Madrid's probably congratulating themselves just for getting this far. Meanwhile, I'm partying with some congealed veggie curry, 3 plasma screens, a disassembled Animus, and Raw Victoria's debut album on loop. Sahete. Dee will be mad when she sees how I use Milton's DNA, but what did she expect when she asked me for help? I needed someone's genetic profile to test the Animus, and, well, his was right there. All in the name of science.
So I don't know what they actually did or how they got that DNA. I mean, I could imagine, but that'd be dirty if it was that way. Anyway, as far as this goes, if you understood that right, Layla actually can use like scraps of DNA and make a working module. or a working simulation. So maybe, and maybe Ubisoft should have even ran with this. This kind of explains how the Animus didn't really recognize the DNA being either male or female. In that instance, it could have been that the Animus saw this DNA, it really didn't have much to go on, and that's how it's going with the simulation that she's in. It could also explain why we're giving options in Odyssey as opposed to actually having concrete evidence, or concrete, just a going straight through without dialogue options or anything like that. Maybe the Animus is reading that data and allowing it to just run wild. It's saying, okay, I don't have that much DNA, or that much to go on, and it's filling in the blanks. So being that it's a simulation, that could explain how we're going through this simulation. You obviously can't change time. You obviously can't change what happened in the past. It would make no sense for us to play a game where the whole game already happened. It's the same thing with Origins, AC2, 1, everything. It all already happened. So we're playing the events as it happens. When you go and you do a side mission, you could do a side mission in any order you want, okay? But the thing is that the way the game is designed is you're supposed to go from A to Z, okay? Now you could go from, A to D and then back and forth, but the thing is that it leaves some leeway for probability, okay? So when you're playing Assassin's Creed Origins, you play through. Bayek obviously did this, but he might not have done it at this point in time. He might have done it next week instead of today. So that's how they explain what's going on in the Animus as far as, going back and forth. You desynchronize whenever you kill cats or whenever you kill people, if you kill enough of them, all right? Because the Animus knows that he never did that. It can still allow you to do it because you're living or you're in a simulation, but it will not allow you to go deep outside of the synchronization. Okay, so now, the way that I'm believing Odyssey is working is that it's taking this DNA, all right, she's putting it in her machine, she's taking this DNA, and it knows generally what happened, but it's giving certain options and everything like that. Now, multiple endings and everything that's going on in the game, that's obviously going to be a simulation. It's obviously going to be what the Animus is correcting or giving us leeway on and letting us know. So according to a previous video that I did, along with a bunch of other commenters and viewers and subscribers who all gave their input, I believe that we were right. It is a simulation. The whole thing is simulated. We're living a life, but it's giving us leeway. It's not breaking the boundaries of major points like, people she met and things like that. But it's giving us leeway on certain choices that we make. Okay? So, and I also believe that the choices that we make are not going to go off on like wild tangents. We're not going to like totally, completely alter her timeline. It's going to be, that she went a certain path, we're following that certain path, and the decisions that we make will still follow that certain path. It's not going to go on like a wild, she went on a linear path and we just took a sharp left and said the hell with the whole story and everything, because that would just defeat the purpose of the game. The whole game would be pointless at that point. Think about it. If we know that this happened historically, and then we just throw in, all of a sudden aliens came and destroyed civilization, the world ended and stuff. We know that the world didn't end, in ancient Greece. So how the heck would we go with that kind of scenario? It's not going to throw us that wild in a tangent. It's going to, keep us going kind of linear. And of course, the novel that they're going to produce for that game, for Odyssey, is going to give us the actual basics of what actually happened. It's going to give us the true story. It's going to be about Cassandra. She's canon. Alexios is not. So, I mean, the whole point of having Alexios still, I don't see a point in it other than what I just explained to you as far as the genetic code, the DNA sequencer, and how she can put, two things together, or how the Animus can read it. But what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? Do you think that this Animus is like really wild? Do you think that this is, a possible solution to what's going on in Odyssey? Does it bother you that Alexios isn't even canon to the story? Do you think that Cassandra's a great protagonist? Or do you think that, like they should have just went with just Cassandra instead of giving us the option? Or that they should have given us the option, but they should have allowed for like a different story arc? Maybe it was a possibility that Alexios was in existence. Maybe the Animus misread that Alexios was the person who did whatever. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching.